By the way, your laws.
You almost spent your inheritance money the other day.
Your life.
Yep, look at that.
That's my culvert on the corner.
Gentlemen,
Okay.
A kid come down through there the other day, his first name was Dennis. Upside down, should've been. And there was been there 2 years. I put the flag in.
Right.
Are we pledge of allegiances? Oh, no, they didn't adjourn the other meeting,
They did not.
so we won't have to do that. I mean.
okay.
Publication.
Morning. How are you? Good, how are you?
I'd like to call the meeting back to order, and we have our budget hearing. At this time at 10:30 in the morning on the 20th of September, I'd like to hold a public hearing to hear support, suggestions, observations of taxpayer related to the proposed budget for 2023. This was in the newspaper last Friday, which was the 16th. And it was also, I believe, on our website, right? Did we make it a website on
I
that?
don't know if I
It was in the
website,
paper.
yeah.
Okay, so there we are. And I would like to, at this point in time, open up the hearing to, once again, hear support, suggestions regarding our proposed budget for 22/year 23. Anybody that wants to talk can come up and do so now. Because of these recent ones. Is this the last?
This is what she had sent to me last night. That
Okay.
I just have 3 copies in there.
Okay.
And this is the resolution.
Well, just in case anybody shows up, I'll leave the hearing open, but for right now, gentlemen, do you have any comments regarding the actions that were taken in our budget workshop, anything like that? Everybody would have got emails from Jill, and everybody would have the papers. Go ahead, Kurt.
Were all budgets cut accordingly per the request of the board after our workshop?
Yes. Yes, within, I mean, fractions.
I'm not asking, because I don't like the word fair at all. It's an equity question, I guess, everyone was treated.
Everybody did their due diligence to
Okay.
lower their budgets
Good.
as the board had asked them at that particular time. And those final numbers would have been in Jill's one email back to you last night.
Okay.
And I believe Kelly also emailed everybody
The budget.
yesterday
Right,
afternoon. The expenses. I know that we've got a one printout here. I myself like to have paper printout for the year,
Yep.
but I wanted to make sure, rather than wasting a bunch of paper, that if we have firm numbers that we're going to do.
Right.
And then you guys got an email from Jill last night with the revenues, so.
Yes,
And
both the
the-
revenue and the expenses.
Did you print it?
I did.
No.
And that name, I didn't print the whole budget. I just printed this with a lid
Like the proof of
calculation
publication.
and the final.
You essentially printed off what we have to turn into the state.
That's right.
Okay. Along with that extra sheet that's in there right now. The one for the LB 644. Willard,
Yeah.
you have something to say this
Well,
morning?
yeah, I was just thinking about, these are sort of general comments, not specifically about this budget, but, or this, yeah, this budget for the county, but in terms of after sitting in on the budget workshop, a lot of comments that were made as far as how to, in other words, how to shuffle stuff around to make things worse. And the main comment that really hit me was the fact that you guys said, and I don't know if you believe it or not, but you did say that eventually down the road, things are gonna get tougher and tougher, which they probably will, a lot of what I'm talking about is the county, all counties, dependence or using an inheritance tax fund for different reasons. And inheritance taxes for people, your constituents in the county, are not really a very popular issue. And so anything that happens with inheritance tax, trying to keep a big pile, trying to spend it, whatever, is simply only kicking the can down the road for a long time, and eventually the can's gonna get wore out, and, you know, it'll really become a problem for the county, which everybody understands. I do appreciate what you try to do, but in the general rule of things, you know, how to take this from here and whatever, it's gonna be a problem in the future no matter what. And just make sure you keep that in your mind. At least sort of sounded like you're thinking about that, but, and what a solution is, you know, nobody knows, I don't think, and of what the solution is. It's just stuff's gonna cost more. What a lot of counties have the advantage of is their populations increase every year. Well, that helps with, helps with whatever, everything. And in a county like York, there's a whole lot of other counties in the state where that is just not going to explode, like it is in some counties. It's gonna be a tremendous problem. So I'm just making a general comment of, what it's gonna be, whether you want it or not, whether we want it or not. But I will go back to the inheritance tax thing, because that is not a popular topic with any owner of anything that I know. So, thanks.
Thank you, Willard. And I'll leave it open for a couple more minutes yet, just in case somebody shows up a little bit late. But I would like to publicly thank Daniel and Kelly. Kelly took the brunt of everything we had to do this year. The budget committee missed out on a couple of people that had been with the county for quite a while helping with the budget. And it really showed up in the amount of work that others had to do. But I think we produced a pretty good budget. The fact is that either we cut services or we raise taxes. I mean, that's I don't know how we get around it any other way. And this was a big year for wages. And those wages won't go away. Those wages will be with us from now on. And so that is something that we will have to deal with. The other thing that I would warn our elected officials and our department heads is the budget, it needs to be looked at that way to try to save as much as we can, because we did not increase any of our cash reserves this year. It got pretty close last year when we had that period from July 1 through when we pass our new budget. Then we're running on kind of our cash reserves and other monies that we get in from state and federal, and that got pretty close this year, and we didn't want to increase that as more of a burden on the taxpayers than what we already had. So it will be very prudent this year to watch that, and then next year will be very interesting with the budgets. So I think we tried to continue on with the rotation of vehicles and equipment, and we did try to absorb most of the wage increase with our inheritance fund this year that we had stockpiled, and we did not use a lot of, nor do we use a lot of. So hopefully we can find, and smart minds will figure this out as we work through the next part. As you see by the documents in front of you, that we will raise the tax asking by a half a penny, about $176,000. Valuations increased by about $100 million this year. So there is that. We did obviously make it under the lid levy. And we did obviously make it, the other computation that we have to put in there is the, not the lid supporting schedule, but the new form for the allowable growth. Percentage computation, that's a new form that we had put in there. Normally, this time of year is when we would have had to have our budgets into the state, but they extended it to the 30th to allow to have these extra meetings, like York County. We'll be having one in the basement here at first of next week. So we do have, the tax, like I say, the tax asking went up by about $176,000, and most of it can be attributed to wages. So, anybody have any comments?
I have one comment. I'd just like to thank you and Kelly for a fantastic job working on this. It had to be, I remember, I think I was on the budget committee the last 11 years. This is the first time I haven't been on, and this looks like it had to be very challenging. And I just want to commend you all for what you've done.
Thank you, Bill. It is 20 to 11, and we did have one comment, but no others are showing up. So at this time, I will close the public hearing. And then in front of us is going to be discuss and act on the resolution of adoption and appropriations. And this is something that will be signed by all of us. It's not that one. That is the, get back to that. Too many screens opened up. There we go. Is this newly written up for this year, Kelly?
This is what we did last year.
Okay. Whereas the proposed county budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, so the proper dates, prepared by the Budget Making Authority, was transmitted to the York County Board on the 20th day of September 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners, York County, Nebraska as follows. The budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, categorically evidenced by the budget document, be the same hereby is adopted by the budget for York County for said fiscal year. Officers, departments, activities, and institutions herein named are hereby authorized to expend the amounts herein appropriated to them during the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. That the income necessary to finance the appropriations made and expenditures authorized shall be provided out of the unencumbered cash balance in each fund, revenues other than the taxation to be collected during the fiscal year in each fund, and the tax levy requirements for each fund, dated this day. And we would need, is this by resolution?
That is a resolution.
Resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to adopt the resolution of adoption and appropriations on the 22-23 budget.
Thank you, Bill.
Second.
Thank you, Kurt. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Holmesburger.
Yes.
Holgren.
Yes.
Rhodes.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Overmeyer.
Yes. And then we have the resolution for setting. I believe that's printed off here in front of me, is it not?
That's what, yeah.
The property tax request. So the 2022-2023 property tax request be set at the general fund, $6,854,899. Our debt service is $874,000, and our ambulance fund is $320,368. That puts the assessed, there we go. the assessed value at 23 cents, 0.230689 per $100 of valuation, which is just a little bit less than it was last year.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion, we adopt said resolution.
Thank you, Kurt.
Second.
Thank you, Jack. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Holgren,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Bosworth,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
oh,
Yes. Okay, that sets it. We are ready for the new budget year, only 3 months into it. Now, this is the part of the county government I just have a hard time understanding. But it is what it is, so we survived, once again, thanks to Daniel and Kelly, to help, and then Jill with RCM, Rieger, Carr, and Monroe. I was just on the phone with her just a little bit. She asked if there was any questions. I think we're good to go, so. Everybody good? We will adjourn.
It is